Hi, thanks for joining me today. This video is going to focus on one of our basic seated yoga poses, Sukhasana or easy pose. So it's a simple cross-legged position. Can be great for a lot of people and not so great for others. If you have tightness in the hips or you have issues with your knees or your ankles, it can be a little bit challenging to sit in this pose for a little bit of time. So I'm going to show you some variations of Sukhasana easy pose today that hopefully will help you. So a couple props that I have here. The first one, I am sitting up on a firm folded blanket. You can use a couple of towels folded up. If you have a firm cushion or a couch cushion, you can use that also. So when we sit up on a blanket or a towel, we lift the sit bones up onto the edge of the blanket so that we can get a neutral position for the pelvis. So a lot of times when we sit on the ground without any support, we end up here. We don't have the core strength to find that proper alignment. So if we lift our sit bones up a little higher, you can see that changes the alignment of the spine. So I have a slight tip forward in my pelvis, neutral curve in the lumbar spine. I have my shoulders right over top of my hips, my head right over top of my shoulders. So in today's society, we get into this tech slump here. So you want to make sure that your head is right over your shoulders and shoulders right over your hips. So that is our first variation of Sukhasana easy poses, sitting up on a blanket or a cushion or a towel. If that is not quite enough lift for your hips, another variation is to use a couple of yoga blocks if you have them. If not, you can stack up some books or some magazines, something that's going to be steady and not slip or slide. So same idea, I'm taking my yoga blocks and putting them on my mat and then coming into my cross-legged position. So as you can see, this has lifted my hips up a little higher and it's gotten my knees well below my hips. We want to have that alignment, either the knees level with the hips or lower. What we don't want to have is the knees up here. And if you're tight in the hips, that can happen. And if that happens for a while, that's okay. But if you can support yourself with blankets, blanket blocks to find that more neutral position for the pelvis, all the better. So again, just finding that nice alignment. We have a nice alignment in the spine here. We have opening across the collarbones. Same alignment in the spines. We have those natural curves in the spine. So that is our second variation of Sukhasana easy pose. So if that again doesn't work for you, if you have issues with your hips or knees or ankles, you can use a chair. So move these out of the way. So for our chair, you want to make sure that you sit up on the edge of the chair. We don't want to slide back and get into our little slump, just like we can do when we're seated on the ground. So if you come to the edge of your chair, thighs should be parallel with each other, the knees right over top of the ankles, and the hands can rest comfortably on the thighs. Think of that same alignment for the spine. We have a little slight tip forward the pelvis, so we find that little natural curve in the lumbar spine. We have the head and the shoulders and the hips in alignment. If your chair is not, this happens to be a very good size for my particular body. I can easily have this 90-degree angle with my thigh and my lower leg. If that's not the case for you, if your chair is a little low, if your knees are a little higher than your hips, you can take that blanket or cushion, set it up on your chair, and lift your hips up a little higher. If your chair is a little tall for you and your feet don't reach the ground, then you can take either that same blanket, depending on the height you need, or your blocks, and rest your feet on the blocks. As you can see, this makes my knees a little high, but you get the idea of how to use those props to make that chair work for you. You can also do this seated on the edge of your couch. So from this foundation of easy pose. I'm going to show you just a few movements that we can do as a warm-up. So pick whichever variation you like the best. Either sit up on a blanket or your blocks, or a variation of your blocks, or sit in your chair on the edge of the couch. Find your alignment, even weight in the sit bones, and think of that nice alignment length of the spine. For those of you who ride, if you think of this alignment, it's the same alignment that we want when we're on our horse. We want to have the head over the shoulders over the hips, and of course if we were riding, the legs would be down. So you can think of that ear, shoulder, hip, heel alignment that we talk about when we're riding all the time. So finding this nice neutral position, we're going to bring the fingertips, move my chair a little bit out of the way, fingertips out by your side, and then inhale, turn the palms up, float the arms all the way up and overhead. So just moving with the breath. Exhale, turn the palms down, float the arms gently back down by your side. So a couple times. Inhale, float the arms all the way up and overhead, sun breath. And then exhale, turning the palms down, float the arms back down. Good, one more time like that. Inhale. Good, and exhale. And now this time, inhale, float the arms all the way up. And we can use this foundation for a seated twist. So left arm in front, right arm behind you, as you gently twist the torso to the right. So my spine has stayed vertical, and I've just rotated my body and my gaze to the right. Inhale, even weight in the sit bones. And then inhale, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Untwist, float the arms up. And then take your twist to the left. So right hand in front, left hand behind you. Inhale. And exhale. Think of collarbones being wide, even weight in the sit bones, lengthening the spine. And then inhale, float the arms again all the way back up. And exhale, release the hands down. So one more little stretch that we can do in the seated pose, but let's switch the cross of the legs first. So notice which leg is crossed in front, or which one's closer to you, either way. And then cross the legs the opposite direction. So we don't always want to sit the exact same way. So we get out of that habitual pattern. And then fingertips again out by your side. So this time just the right arm floats up and overhead, and then reach up and over to your left. So make sure your right sit bone stays in contact with your blanket or your blocks or your chair, whatever you're seated in. If it starts to lift up, press into that left hand and shift your weight back so that you have that even weight in the sit bones. Inhale and exhale for that nice opening through the ribs. And then come all the way back up, float that left arm up, and then release the right arm down, and then reach up and over to the right. Same thing, making sure the sit bones are weighted, especially that left one. Inhale and exhale for that nice length and stretch through the side of the body. Inhaling and exhaling. And then inhale again, come all the way back up, float that right arm all the way up. Exhale, release the hands down, and you can just let the hands rest comfortably on the thighs. Palms can face down or up. And just close the eyes for a few moments and just check in with how your body feels in this position. This is usually the position that we use for a seated meditation. And you want to find that ease in this posture. Sukhasana. Sukha means ease. Inhale and exhale. And then very gently let the eyes open. So I hope this video helps to give you some ideas of how you can make your seated posture a little bit more comfortable for you if you have, again, tightness in the hips or the knees or the ankles. And those of you who ride, again, when you think about this, finding this alignment, that again, head, ear, over shoulder, over hip, and then again, if you were in the saddle to your heel, that alignment, if you can really work on that off the horse when you're on your yoga mat, or seated looking, sitting on your couch watching TV, if you can get out of that slumped position and find that nice alignment, it will help you in the saddle. So thanks again for joining me today. Please check out the information below in the information section about classes that I teach and my website, Grey Horse Yoga. And please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this video. So, subscribe to my channel if you like this video, and I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Thanks. Bye-bye.